It's March 2021 and the UK has been back in national lockdown for 2 months. For university students, life has changed again. Producer Jeremy is online with our 4 final year undergraduates just a few weeks before their degree courses are due to finish. Cardiff politics student Calla Cambrey is missing life on campus.
Last term, I could go to a coffee shop and do some work, and even that just helped that little bit. But coming back in January, everything was closed, everything. And even the libraries, the way the libraries work here now, they're open, but you have to book a slot. And I think, it was just the lack of structure has been really hard. And I think particularly for our courses, anyone that's not had live lectures, I think we've all really wished we had. And it's sad that we're never going to go back into uni again, and I walk past the building and I find it so bizarre. And I think even when we get back from Easter, I think we're supposed to have about 2 more weeks of teaching, and I just don't think they're not going to bring us in for 2 weeks. It will stay online.
Calla applied for the Civil Service Fast Stream summer internship, but didn't get through the second round of assessments.
For me personally, I'm looking to go into the public sector, and I think you're bombarded by the Civil Service Fast Stream. That is the grad scheme you should get. It's the number one. Get it, do it. And I think after that, then it's sort of like, if you don't get onto that, you feel, oh, well, where is there to go? And for me, I've obviously broadened my search, and I think a lot of people have done that this year. I think even if you had a really specific job that you wanted, I think there's the realization that, hey, I've got to sort of cast my net wider to make sure I get something. But it's that kind of not compromising what you want to do just to get a job. But I feel like people might be doing that a lot more this year, going for roles. I mean, I've just applied to Think Ahead, which is a fantastic organisation, but I would never have thought about it before. And now I'm in the process, and I'm on to the second stage. I'm actually quite interested, and I would quite enjoy the job. But obviously it's to become a social worker, and that's not something I'd ever considered.
In addition to Think Ahead, Calla has made 2 other applications.
They're both actually within the charity sector. So one of them is Charity Works, which I found from the top 100. And I think as a subsection for me from the public sector, the non-profit sector was a big draw for similar reasons of wanting to work for people and not necessarily to, I'd say, make lots of money. I'm sure everybody would like to do that, but that wasn't my main drive, which I think is good. And then similarly with Upreach, which I'm part of as an associate. So when I saw that they had their grad scheme out, which is the Future Leaders Programme, so you train to become one of the programme coordinators that works with students. And I was really, really drawn to that, having obviously gained so much from them. I would love to then go and work for them. So I'm waiting for those 2. So they're both in the charity sector.
Calla had previously hoped to become a barrister after university, but is now rethinking her route into the legal sector.
I definitely want to pursue it, even if it's through a less sort of obvious way, in the sense of potentially moving to work within government and actually moving to sort of the legal sector within say, the civil service or wherever I end up. I think you can use an interest in law and skills not just to become a lawyer. All these companies have departments that need a legal team and things like that, or even support on that side.
Like many students, Calla has been disappointed by the lack of financial support during the pandemic.
In terms of the student fees, I think, again, everyone's frustrated. I think it feels like, what are we paying for? Particularly with my course, I feel that I remember being sat the other day and realising that I was on Google and YouTube. And I just thought, what is my money going towards here right now? And I understand that they can't just put a hold on it, because the services in the building and everything still needs to be paid for, and the lecturers need to be paid and all these things. But everyone's in uproar about it. And I just think £9,000 for me to sit and do something that an open university course could give me. And then I suppose the sad thing is, as stuff starts to open and as everyone wants to have all these plans, and I've had, so many people say to me, let's do this. No one has the money for it. No one has that anymore. Like, as in a student, spent all our money whilst we've been living here, and now potentially can't enjoy things, opening up and trying to book all these things that everybody wants to do. So yeah, definitely, I think that's been really difficult for people.
The new lockdown means Manchester finalist Karem Jarbouh is unable to complete some of the practical aspects of his aerospace engineering degree.
Overall, it's not too bad, but we do miss out on a lot of interesting, face-to-face labs, like hands-on stuff, which is, crucial for engineering. And actually, one of the most things that I'm sad about this year that we've missed is we had like a flight training kind of thing. So a flight test course in a small like Cessna aircraft where we, get in, test the flight dynamics and stuff. And that's actually like required for the accreditation of our course, but this year obviously can't really do that. So that's kind of sad.
And Karem is also anxious about his graduate job applications.
At the moment, I'm still waiting on the companies I applied to previously, but I've managed to get in a new one with Dyson. So I've applied for their mechanical design engineering internship, and I'm still waiting on that. They said the wait would be a few weeks. And with GE Aviation, I passed the first interview. So now I'm just waiting on the final one with the hiring managers. Actually, we had like a guest lecturer talk to us a few weeks ago, and he's worked with GE previously, and now he works with British Airways. And he was just telling us like straight up, it's going to be rough the next few years. Maybe look into other sectors. It's going to pick back up obviously, but for now, be open minded. Don't just think about aerospace because at the moment it is rough, and that was kind of hard to hear, but what can you do?
It's a difficult situation, and it's forced Karem to think about other options.
I haven't heard of too many people actually getting jobs yet. A lot of people are like me, they're waiting or got rejections and stuff like that. So it's a bit rough at the moment. Plan B would be just to stay for a master's at the university. So if nothing works out in the end, I can just stay for a master's, wait it out, and then hopefully the industry will pick back up like next year, and it should be a bit easier maybe.
For now, Karem is concentrating on finishing his degree and keeping his spirits up for the remainder of the lockdown.
It's okay. I mean, to be honest, living with people this year is just so much better, especially like, because I used to live alone last year in my own apartment, and it was sad and boring. So I don't know how I would have, survived that this year, considering everything's closed up and stuff. But I think living with people just makes it so much easier, and you get to actually speak to people because obviously there's nothing to do outside. The weather isn't always great. It's Manchester, so living with people is a good thing.
Warwick computer scientist Chibudom and Onuorah is doing her best to stay positive through the current situation.
I'm grateful for how I've been able to kind of sustain my mental health. However, there are good days and there are bad days. I do live alone, and I haven't been to campus since October. So, and I live in a studio. So, and I don't know anyone in my building. So a lot of the times it can be very lonely, and sometimes I don't mind. Sometimes it does kind of get to me.
Chibudom feels she's adapted well to her university's online teaching and learning.
I just kind of wish like there was a little bit more organization. Like I think it feels very much like they're doing this as they go along, and I guess understandably so. At the end of the day, no one could have planned for COVID, but I think that the fact that things are so like ad hoc and things are so last minute, I think that definitely warrants some sort of like compensation. But besides that, in terms of the concept of online teaching, I'm all for it. I actually think it's a really, really good idea, and I would, if I were to continue in education, I would definitely opt for an online format, just probably better organized.
Chibudom is looking forward to starting her graduate job at JP Morgan when she leaves university.
Up till yesterday, JP Morgan hadn't contacted me much in regards to the new job role. But even yesterday we got an email basically saying that the whole sort of like team allocation process has begun, and that we can expect like a call from like a manager also before the end of April.
The continuing coronavirus restrictions means it's unlikely that the class of 2021 will be able to take part in traditional graduation ceremonies.
Having done a degree for so many years, I think the graduation kind of just feels like the cherry on top. Like it's just like a time to celebrate your achievement. So it is a shame that it has been taken away. Well, it seems to have for the meantime taken away from us. But I do sympathize with other years. You know, the year before us, they still haven't had their graduation. So I think that I do hope that we will end up having a graduation. I think it's a really it's a really important part of university, and I think it also like the thought of having a graduation is also kind of, and it can be like a motivating factor to a lot of people. Just to have that taken away, it kind of feels like, I'm working really, really hard for this degree to like not have any sort of celebration or not have any sort of like checkpoint at the end.
International business student Abigail Peel has been coping well with the lockdown.
Yeah, I'm in a really fortunate position. I live in a house of 7, so we've tried to keep the social aspect. We've done various nights, so we have like a country in each room, and we have to decorate it and do drinks or songs associated to that country, or we've done eras and different things. We try and keep it fun. I'm in a really fortunate position that I've got a household and everyone gets on really well, and we are definitely each other's like support network, I would say.
Abi has made several applications for graduate jobs in different parts of Europe.
I got to the assessment centre round for BT, which was a job in Dublin. I did the assessment centre and unfortunately I wasn't successful in that one. I've also received an assessment centre for NatWest, but it's the situation where you've got through to the round but you've not got the invitation, so it's in the back of my mind, but I don't think that's going to really transpire into assessment centre. However, I'm on the last stage for a job in Denmark, a finance job for a fashion company called Bestseller. So I've got my final interview next week for that, which is one that I'm really looking forward to. And all the stages have gone really well so far. They've been quite honest and transparent throughout. So they've said, so I handed in my video, and then they sent me an email back straight away and said, by this date, you'll hear back. And which I did. And then the next time they said, okay, great, by this date you'll hear back, and which I did. So everything that they've said, everything that they've promised and everything that they've offered they've stuck to it perfectly, really. So it's been a really positive experience.
Abi is very keen to work away from the UK when she finishes university.
I think because, well, I'm half Swedish, so I've been to Sweden every summer since I was 8, I think. And I've always just had that urge, and I'm really itching to get out of Manchester because I've been here my whole life. So the only place that makes sense for me now is outside of England. Right now, Denmark is looking like my number one. It's similar culture to Sweden, similar language, well, slightly similar language. So I feel like I can see that happening. But if I got that job, that would start in June, which is pretty early. So once the interview starts next week, I feel like it's go from there. So I'm just excited to get anywhere, really.